Wait, what if everything you've been told is wrong? What if the story that shocked millions, the case people thought was closed, isn't actually over? Because right now, a claim is spreading like wildfire, and it's coming from none other than Nancy Grace. She says Nancy Guthrie might still be alive. And if that sounds impossible, just wait till you hear what led to this moment. Before we go deeper, I need you to do something real quick. Drop where you're watching from in the comments. I want to see how far this story is reaching. And if you're into real-life mysteries like this, hit that subscribe button right now, because this one, it gets deeper. It all started with what looked like just another resurfaced case, the kind that pops up online every few months. Old headlines, forgotten footage, people revisiting what they thought they already knew. At first, nobody paid much attention, but then something changed. A short clip began circulating. In the clip, Nancy Grace was speaking during what seemed like a recent broadcast. Calm at first, controlled, but then her tone shifted. You could hear it, that urgency she's known for. She said, "There are details in this case, details that do not add up, and until they do, we cannot rule anything out." At first, people thought it was just her usual style. If you know her, you know she doesn't hold back. But then she dropped something that made everyone pause.
Be hitting. It's certainly not without the realm of possibility. And I will say this, when I talk about, I think it's valuable to put the timeline together and present it to the public, because the public, this person or these people are interacting every day with the person or the people who did this, and they're going to tell that those signs are going to be there. But could this have been could it have been any of these other theories? I think the right answer for law enforcement is all these other theories are there. But I would say the SAC from our former SAC from our Phoenix office clearly has a little bit more inside baseball than you or I do.
She hinted that there were unverified sightings, not rumors from random people online, but reports that hadn't been made public. That's when the internet exploded. People started digging. Old photos, archived interviews, timelines, everything was pulled apart piece by piece. And suddenly, small inconsistencies people had ignored before started to stand out. Dates that didn't fully match. Statements that slightly changed over time. And one detail that kept coming up again and again, a gap. A strange, unexplained gap in the timeline that nobody had ever fully addressed. That's where things got uncomfortable. Because if that gap is real, then it leaves room for something nobody wants to believe. Could it be possible that what everyone accepted wasn't the full story? Then came the second clip. This one was different. No studio lights, no polished setup, just Nancy Grace speaking in what looked like an off-record moment, her voice lower, more serious. She didn't confirm anything directly. But she said this: "I'm not saying she is, but I'm saying we don't know that she is." And just like that, the question was no longer crazy. It was open. That's when people started asking if there are sightings, if there are missing details, if there are questions still unanswered. Then what really happened to Nancy Guthrie? And why would something like this stay hidden for so long? Because here's the part that makes this even stranger. Some users claim they had seen someone who looked exactly like her, in places far away from where the story originally unfolded. Different cities, different times, same description. Now, are those claims real? Are they coincidences, or is something being overlooked? That's what we're going to find out. Because in the next part, we're diving into the timeline, the exact moments where things stopped making sense, and the one detail that might change everything. You don't want to miss this. If you think that was strange, this is where things stop being coincidence. Because when people started going back through the timeline of what happened to Nancy Guthrie, something didn't just feel off, it looked off. And not in a small way. In a way that made people start asking, how did no one notice this before? Let's go straight into it. The official timeline, the one most people accepted, seemed clean on the surface. Events lined up, statements were given, reports were filed, case closed. But when independent viewers started breaking it down frame by frame, date by date, tiny cracks began to appear. And those cracks, they all pointed to one specific moment. A gap, not a missing hour, not even a missing day. A stretch of time where records became unclear, statements became vague, and details suddenly stopped being consistent. Now here's the part that made things worse. Different sources described that same time period differently. One version said she was last seen at a certain location. Another version placed her somewhere else entirely. And a third, it didn't even match either of those. So which one is true? Because they can't all be right. This is exactly what Nancy Grace was hinting at. Not directly, but clearly enough for people paying attention. She wasn't just questioning the outcome. She was questioning the process. And when people started rewatching her commentary with that in mind, it hit differently. Every pause, every emphasis, every time she said something doesn't add up. It wasn't just TV drama. It felt like a warning. Then came the deeper dive. Online communities began mapping out movements, comparing timestamps, and even analyzing older footage that most people had forgotten existed. And that's when someone found something that changed everything. An image. At first glance, it looked normal, just a background shot from a public place, nothing special. But when they zoomed in, there was a figure. Blurry, partially turned, easy to ignore if you weren't looking closely. But the resemblance, it was enough to make people stop scrolling. Same posture, same build, same facial structure, at least from what could be seen. And the timestamp on that image, it didn't match the official story. Not even close. That's when things went from interesting to seriously unsettling. Because if that image is real, and if that person is who people think it is, then it means one thing. Nancy Guthrie didn't just disappear the way people were told. She was somewhere else. Alive. Moving. Unaccounted for. Now before you jump to conclusions, here, where it gets even more complicated. That image was never officially confirmed. No authority stepped in to verify it. No clear explanation was given. It just existed, floating online, ignored by some, obsessed over by others. And right in the middle of all this, Nancy Grace made another subtle move. She didn't debunk it. She didn't confirm it. But she acknowledged that people were asking the right questions. And that's all it took. Because now the focus wasn't just on what happened back then. It was on what might still be happening now. So here's the real question. If there are gaps in the timeline, conflicting reports and possible sightings, then who had control of the narrative? And why would certain details never be fully clarified? Because in the next part, we're going into the sightings. The ones people tried to dismiss. The ones that came from different places, different people who had no connection to each other. And yet they all describe the same thing. And if even one of them is true, then this story is far from over.